What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Real Estate Virgins podcast. We are here. We are top producing agents. We are not just talking that talk. We are walking the walk, baby. And welcome back if you're a returning listener. We're here to elevate your business in 2024 and beyond. If you're new to the podcast, we do top producing agent interviews with agents from all over, all kinds of brokerages from all over the nation, and honestly, all over the world. We've had some really interesting guests on our podcast. So if that is your jam and you're looking for tactical tips and tricks to elevate your business in 2024 and beyond, you're in the right place, friends. My name is Jordan Brown, at Jordan Sells ATX on Instagram, here with my co-host, John Michael Perez.
What's up, guys? John Michael Perez at John Michael Perez on Instagram. Today, we're actually going to be talking about Instagram, so make sure you give Jordan and myself a follow on Instagram. And the thing is guys, is that, average real estate commissions for $7,500, $10,000 in the US right now. And one free way to give back or pay it forward is to at least, guys, this episode is completely free, is at least comment, like, share, or go follow us on Instagram. We would greatly appreciate it. And we're looking forward to this episode.
Absolutely. We're hoping that the tips, tricks, tactics that you learn here in not just this episode, but we've been doing this for a little bit over a year now on basically a weekly basis. So there's a library full of wealth and knowledge from industry professionals from all over to help you in your journey. If hopefully that equates to at least one more deal, which is money in your pocket. That's why we started this podcast. That's why we continue to do it. We love seeing agents win. So to help pay it forward just a little bit, we just ask for a free, easy, it'll take you no longer than 1 minute to give us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Give us a like, a comment, or a subscription on YouTube. We appreciate you guys so much for listening.
Well, today I'm super excited because I love Instagram and getting leads from Instagram. And there's so many different things that you can do to elevate your Instagram account to get more leads. And so, one quick story before we get started. When I first got into real estate, I paid this marketer to get me new followers. And I was super excited because he said that he was going to find people within my niche and get me followers.
Oh, well, who wouldn't want that?
I know, right? And so I paid him like $2,000, and I was like, I'm so excited. I'm gonna get all these buyers and all these sellers. And what ended up happening is he started attracting people that were not in my niche, and it was like adult content that he was getting like,
if real estate didn't work out, you could sell feet pics.
I know, right? And so I had no idea. And so it completely ruined my Instagram account. And, yes, I had 10,000 plus followers, but those followers were not interested in real estate. And what I realized is I've got to start over from ground zero, right? And so start over from scratch. And so started over from scratch. It was a big ego hit. I don't have 10,000 followers. However, Instagram rewards accounts that get engagement, right? And so if there's anything that you can write down or listen to or take note from this episode, is the more engagement each individual post gets, the more Instagram sends out your content to more people, right? And so the strategy is how do we get more engagement on each post, on each story? And so what is engagement? That's the question, right? Engagement is when people like, comment, share, save, or maybe they'll send it to, sharing is sending it to a friend, right? On Instagram and TikTok, you and I will always share videos to each other, right? Mm-hmm. That actually gets more engagement for those posts.
Right, for that user.
Yeah, it rewards the user and sends out their content because it lets Instagram and TikTok know, hey, people are interacting with this post.
There's some interesting stuff over here.
It's going to keep people on our platform longer, right? And so anything and everything I post, I'm either asking a question, I'm adding value, I'm trying to entertain them in some way, shape, or form. And so that is value content, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another, the $1 million question is like, what kind of content gets engagement? And I think you did a really good job of explaining. You're having either like a call to action where, hey, comment below what you think of this. Mm-hmm. And that gets engagement. And then Instagram goes, oh, there's a comment. Oh, there's another one. This post is generating comments and interactions, therefore it must be good, and we're going to push this out. Because like you said, the ultimate goal for Instagram is not to necessarily reward your account, it's rewarding your account so that people stay on the platform longer.
Exactly.
There's a game within the game there.
Yes.
So you've got to ask yourself, is your content helping people stay on Instagram longer?
Yes.
Even if it's just, carousels, for example. I notice a lot of people who get a lot of engagement or a lot more interaction. They post, like, instead of just posting one picture, it's multiple pictures, and you've got to swipe through. That extra few seconds is you staying on there longer. And if you copy and paste that multiple times, either per day, per week, however often that you post, that's equating to minutes to hours longer on the platform.
I agree. So if you write anything down, it's to try to get engagement. And like we said, engagement equals keeping people on the platform longer. And then, so here, I'll give you an example. A couple of days ago, I made a post, and it was about a football player that purchased a home. He got like a $200+ million.
Jalen Hurts, baby.
Yeah, $200+ million contract, and he bought his parents a $215,000 house, right? And on that post, all I said was, "What is your opinion?" Right? It got so much engagement because people thought I was, and I said, "What is your opinion?" ? And then below that, I said, "My opinion is in the comments." Right? And so the reason why I said my opinion is in the comments is because people have to click on the post to read my comment, right? And then two, it increases intrigue, right? It like, oh, I wonder what he thinks, right?
And does he agree with me? Does he not? And if he doesn't, I'm going to let him know about it.
Exactly, right? And so it's funny because people didn't read my comment, and they were posting, "Wow, why do you care about blah, blah, blah? This is a great thing," right? And they didn't even read my comment. When my comment was, "I think this is an amazing strategy because it could be a great rental. And I think that a lot of people live way above their means, and this is a great opportunity to purchase a home for us." Anyways, people didn't read my comment and were bashing my post, right? Because they thought I was coming from a negative aspect, right? Or perspective. And it caused so much engagement on that post, and it pushed that post out to literally over 2,000 people, more than my usual engagement.
Yeah.
It's just because I caused intrigue, and then I said, "My opinion is in the comments," right?
Yeah, it's so funny. So last night, this is gonna be kind of a sidebar, but it's relevant, I promise. Dallas played Edmonton in the Western Conference Finals for hockey.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously a big Dallas homer, but it was a good game. Dallas got squashed. Series is 2-2. And I just posted my opinion on what I thought happened on a hockey Instagram channel, funny enough. And all I said was, now I knew what I was doing because I was baiting people.
Yeah.
I made a comment where my original thought behind it, I think, rings true, but I kind of made it an extreme, a little bit of an extreme. I said, Dallas is looking slow because they had to beat the last two Stanley Cup champions to get to the Western Conference Finals. Meanwhile, and this is where it ticks so many people off. I said Edmonton looks like they're catching their stride after having a Mickey Mouse Funhouse ride to the Western Conference Final. Now, here's the thing. If I would have just said Dallas looks slow, no one would have responded. But I knew what I was doing because I was like, this is going to piss so many people off. Even though the sentiment is true. Dallas looks slow. Edmonton looks great. If you take my post and you just make it general terms, that's what I said. But that's not engaging. Yeah. And so, I mean, I was getting roasted on this. It's so funny, dude. People get so mad. They're like, "Oh, coming from a fat realtor." And I'm like, bro, you came to my profile and you're that triggered by this? It's so funny. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, making stuff that's engaging. It's prompting. Like, you have to think about who your audience is, which I knew mine was a bunch of hockey nerds from Canada, and they're going to get mad that I said Edmonton had an easier route. Yeah. I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. You're prompting action.
Correct. Even though I didn't say, "Let me know what you think," I knew with the words I was using, I was going to get response. So it just kind of, and it keeps... I keep checking, like, it every time I log into Instagram, it's like, you have a new hate comment. Like, it's so funny. But engaging content. That's the whole point, is that there's different ways to get engagement. You can do it by means of being direct and asking for feedback, or in the way that you say an opinion that you know is going to evoke a certain reaction out of people.
Yeah.
And that can be positive or negative. Like that one I knew was going to be a negative experience, but you could say like with the Jalen Hurts things, I thought it was actually, it's so funny how many people care about that. You know what I mean? Like I've been seeing the post everywhere and seeing how many people were like, why he cheaped out or something. Like, bro, this guy isn't trying to go broke just after signing this contract. You know what I mean? Like, and plus real estate's historically one of the safest investments that you can make. So 100%. there's not necessarily a bad purchase.
Yeah. But back to increasing engagement. Also, one thing that I've been doing recently, and I've been testing this out, is anytime I have a post that pops off, like that's starting to get a lot of likes, a lot of comments, I'll actually boost that post. And due to the fact that because I want to get more followers that are similar to what my following is already. And so Instagram actually has an option of boosting a post, and within that boost option, and it does cost, guys, but it says, do you want to send this out to more people that are like your following, right? And so if the post is already popping off organically, that tells me that more people like my following are going to like it as well, right? And so it's almost like a compounding advertisement, because I've gotten well over 20 followers that are like the following that I'm looking for, based off of a post that I made that organically did well already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and if you're spending $5 to $10 to boost a post that gets you 5 to 10 to 20 like-minded people who now discovered you, it takes one deal for that to be like 100x investment there.
Yes, exactly. And so a lot of people did just boost random posts, right? And that is really not a good strategy. A good strategy is post it organically first. If you get good feedback on it organically, then boost it. Because it tells Instagram, hey, we're going to send this out to more people that are just like his following. Now, here's the thing. If you don't have a following already, it's going to be hard to sort of test that out, because Instagram's not going to know who to send that out to.
Right. You don't have enough of a track record or like something to look back on. It says who follows this page, who's interested in the content, who interacts. You don't have that yet. So you just got to build that base up.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one thing that's really been working for me. Another thing, Instagram bios. We've never really talked about Instagram bios. What attracts you on Instagram bios?
For me, it's a call to action. Okay. So I had started implementing this. I noticed, so I use something called Linktree. Okay. And Linktree is something where you're able to post. I can have like all my contact information. I can have a link to my YouTube channel. I can have a specific PDF that I want to give away for free. So what I do, and this is something I saw this isn't something I came up with on my own. I looked at other realtors who are killing it and what are they doing, which in your business, there's nothing wrong with that. You can beat to your own drum. That's fine. But there's a lot of people who have paved the way that you can take little tidbits from. And so I was just noticing a lot of people would say in their bio, realtor in Austin, Texas, father, husband, download my free buyer's guide here. And so and then it's like pointing. And so you have to click the link, and then it takes you to my Linktree, and you can download my free buyer's guide. Yeah. So I started doing that, and I noticed that there's been an increase in the visit to my Linktree. So otherwise, if I just had the link there with no call to action, it was pretty stagnant. I was hoping that people were interested enough to basically click through and hit like click more to see the link or whatever. But now I'm giving them a reason to. I'm saying, hey, you found my profile. I have this free little nugget for you, and you can get it here. And that's prompting people to go. And I've seen an uptick. I think like a 46% increase in the amount of traction going to my buyer's guide.
I really like that. That's good. Yeah. So call to action, super important. One thing that Suman really does well, our partner, he brands his whole Instagram account really well with colors across the board, right? Yeah. And so even when it comes to the story bubbles that are underneath the bio,
that's something I just recently did.
Really?
Yes. So like probably within the last 2 months, I went through. Canva is a great tool that we utilize, And I went through, and what I love is you can go in on Canva and say like specifically what you're looking for, or they have it categorized. This is not an ad for Canva, by the way, unless you want it to be.
Sponsor us.
But there was an option where you can go to like social media, and it's got like, great, are you doing like a YouTube banner? Are you doing a Facebook post? Are you doing an Instagram reel? Do you need covers for your Instagram highlights?
Yeah.
So I have not had my stuff branded very well for a very, very long time, which I think is a detriment to my business. I mean, I'm doing fine, but I think about how much better I could have done by establishing my brand identity early on. Now I'm embracing it. I've got my colors. No matter if you go to my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my Facebook, whatever it is, it all looks uniformed. Yeah. I use similar fonts. I use similar verbiage. I use the same primary color in it, and it all just looks so much more professional and uniformed.
It's like creating a fast car. It's just adding the extra small things, right? Over a long period of time, it just gets faster and faster. Even if it's by a half a second faster, right? It's gonna make a better car. And so all of the, branding and setting up the funnels and asking the right questions and doing content consistently, that's all compounding into getting more leads and converting more leads. And it's the small things really that make a big difference.
Well, there's been a lot in my business that, I thought either I understood myself or like, because I come from a background of being in the print industry. I thought I understood, the importance of marketing. I thought I understood the different avenues that people market. But the digital space is different than something that I'm familiar with, which is print, which is physical material. The digital space is easier, but it's easier to pass up also. And what I mean by that is like, if I did a printed marketing flyer and you're able to touch it, you're able to see, like, I can put words that make you look at it, and like you're more likely when it's something that you're holding to look at it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Versus digital, everyone makes a snap judgment. So if my marketing or like my imagery online is not on point, people are more likely to go, oh, this looks unprofessional. I'm out. Like, sure, I liked his video, but I looked at his bio and it looks like crap.
Yeah.
Or it looks not like any other people that I've seen in a bad way.
Yeah. A few tips on the bio. One is try to get a little bit personal, right? Like, Jordan, I'm a father, a husband, and now the thing about your bio is you got to make sure, if you're a real estate agent, is you got to make sure that you share where you are servicing others, right? Obviously, right? Because that will bring upon a feeling of what is called familiarity. Look, they're a father, a husband, and they're in Leander, Texas too, right?
Yeah.
And then also a call to action, like you said. And then obviously, what makes you stand out as compared to other people, right? So
I've actually, one thing I changed recently, and I don't have a long enough record of success or failure with this method. I've identified my niche in my
yes, that's
bio.
very important. Yep.
So I put helping millennials buy homes.
That's pretty awesome.
So now, hopefully, because I mean, old people probably aren't on, the boomers and stuff aren't on Instagram nearly as much. But this younger generation, these young professionals that are now the geriatric millennials, the regular millennials, and now like you have this young workforce of the Gen Z are starting to hit, graduate college and things like that. So those are the people who I'm advertising to, where it's like I'm helping younger professionals buy homes. So I might tweak it
because you're going to attract people that you want to work with, more people that you want to work with, and also they're going to have that feeling of familiarity because they're a millennial, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's a safe, almost like a safety feeling, or like I've helped identify that I'm your person.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being I'm a realtor in Austin, Texas, and you go, oh well, I'm in Austin.
Yeah.
Now I'm going, I'm in Austin, Texas as well. I'm a millennial, and I'm looking to help millennials.
Yeah.
So you go, oh, this guy wants to help me.
Yeah.
This guy specifically wants to help a millennial. He probably relates to this demographic a lot better. And hopefully that separates me from 19,000 plus other agents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that. Back to the story bubbles. One thing that I've been doing is, you know what? I'm going to go look and see exactly what I've done. but it's working. I have a bubble for my testimonials, right? And so every time you make a story on Instagram, you can highlight it to put it on your Instagram story bubble, which shows up on your profile, right?
Yeah. So even if this story was from 2019, there's a history of it there. It's still stored in Instagram's little cloud or whatever. So if you make a highlight for it, you can go back and snag that really great thing from 2019. And now it's a highlight for people that are visiting your channel.
Yes. One cool thing is like I like to mix my personal life with my real estate life, right? And so I have a bubble for my family, like vacations and stuff like that. I have a bubble for my testimonials, and I'll add that on my story, and then highlight it to my testimonial bubble. And then I have my bio, right? And so so all of these bubbles are basically you've got to post it to your story and then highlight it to your story bubble. Okay. And I have podcast for this podcast. And I also have, and this is funny, I see the number 33 everywhere. So every time I see the number 33, I post it on my story, and I have a bubble for that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But so bubbles, and then also you can put pictures as the bubble, right? Like we talked about. And for my branding, just like you, I went on Canva, and all of them are a certain colorway.
Yeah.
They're like a light blue on my account, which is at John Michael Perez on Instagram.
Shameless self-promotion.
And but yeah, so those are really helpful because when people visit your account, you got to make it sure it looks professional, right? And so you got to make sure it looks like you know what you're doing. And as a real estate agent, that's very important.
And I also think that stories are the easiest way. Like, it's so easy to stay in front of your audience. One strategy, I think we've talked about this in many episodes, but it's so pertinent because we're talking about Instagram specifically on this one. You can stay in front of your audience so easily with stories because it's up for 24 hours.
Yes.
And the more that they, what's cool is if you make engaging stories, they're more likely to click on it, which tells Instagram, let's put this guy's story to be the first thing that they see when they log in.
Yep.
And it's so cool how that can work.
Yeah.
Now, John made a really good point about I've noticed that because I monitor how many viewers I have on my stories in relation to how many people follow me.
Yes.
And I can kind of see what content gets people to pass, like where they click forward or where they click back.
Yes.
So if it's like, oh, what was that? If it's something entertaining, I know I need to make more stuff like that because I show that more people went back and rewatched it. Or I can see like, okay, people are starting to predict what I'm going to say. It's getting boring. It's getting redundant, whatever it is, and they'll skip it. So that's important little micro analytics from your stories that you can gather to help dictate what kind of content's engaging for your audience. And again, having a story up, one tip, never have your story blank. Always have an Instagram story. So in fact, we're recording live right now and, just talking about Instagram, and this one's going up, baby.
Boom.
Boom. Like that one's good. People want to see what you're doing throughout your life. And just like that, now I'm going to be pushed back in front for a set amount of people. And it keeps me kind of passively advertising to those target people.
And if I'm not mistaken, you may need to set your account to professional mode in order to see the insights.
I think so. Maybe like a little more in depth. Yeah.
Yes. And so if you haven't set up your account for professional mode, I would highly suggest you do that.
Because you're a professional.
Yes.
We hope.
Yeah. And insights are very important because, for example, it will even show you when people are liking and commenting the most at what times, right? And so you can go in your insights and see, 9 a.m. Most people are on most of my followers are on at 9 a.m. and I think 6 p.m., right? And so guess what? That just lets you know when you need to be posting, right? And
what's cool is that I think, and I don't know if you can do this in regular mode, but in professional mode, you can schedule your content within Instagram, which is a game changer.
It is.
Because otherwise you're having to sit there and like, I want to post at 6 a.m. I've got to be up at 6 a.m. and post. Now you can set it to where if you have your edited reel or whatever it is that you're wanting to post, you can go within the advanced settings and you can schedule it, which is really cool. So that way I can be sleeping and content is going to work for me anyway. And it's hitting that wave of people that are up at that time.
Yeah, it's really cool. Insights are awesome, as well as there's this new thing that gives you the option. It like challenges you and it says like, hey, have you made a story today? I forgot the name of that, honestly. And I should know. I think it's like a meta update. Yeah, and a lot
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah,
It's almost like a babysitter, like a push notification, like, hey, people, like, you haven't made something in a while. What's up?
yeah, yeah, and it challenges you. It's like challenges on Instagram, which is pretty cool. What else do we have to talk about?
We've also just as this may be changing because I know TikTok, for example, we talked about TikTok on the last one, I think, where long form, uncut, unedited, raw video is getting really popular, where you're just hitting record and talking to the camera and you're not super edited. You don't have a bunch of stuff like that. But I noticed like we did an A/B test on a video last year where I uploaded a video and you uploaded the same thing, but with a few more bells and whistles. You had like the sounds, the little clicks, the pings, things that are supposed to keep people's attention to see. We want to see, do these things work? And when we dug into the analytics, yours was viewed for twice as long as mine. So the engagement, like the retention of people's attention was higher, which I think is really cool. So I've done that with my Instagram where with my YouTube specifically, where I'm testing things and like changing the format of my introduction. And I think it's paying off because I'm keeping my introduction a lot smaller, a lot shorter. I used to do like a minute plus introduction before you would even start touring the home. Hoping that people stick around for that long who don't know me is a bit of that's a task. Yeah. So now it's like, hey, here's this really brief introduction. Here's what you're looking at today. My name's Jordan Brown. I'm an Austin area realtor. Hope you enjoy the tour. And then like we start. Yeah. And I noticed that the view duration is so much higher, like much higher. Like the last 3 videos I've done have higher view durations of people lasting longer within the video than almost any other one. The best one that I've done was the pros and cons of living in Leander in 2024 video. That one, people watch half my video, which is really cool. Wow. And one guy, one of the gentlemen on our team who did like a YouTube deep dive with me. I know we're talking about Instagram, but I'm going to talk about YouTube for a second. Okay. He noticed, like, he said that if you go within analytics and you want to look at how a video is performing, when you can tell that a video is doing well, 70% of the audience needs to still be around at the 30-second mark. Okay. On long form content. So that's kind of a milestone that you're shooting for that lets YouTube know and yourself know if you've made a good video.
Yeah. Okay.
We also talked about going back to Instagram. We talked about we had a great training with I believe an escrow officer or a title officer. I can't remember. We did the training for Google My Business.
Yes, she was a mortgage. She was a lender.
So she had a really great tip about before you post something.
Oh yeah, this is good.
So good. On Instagram, before you're going to upload that reel, before you're going to make a post, go and interact with like 5 people's post. So like,
I think she said 15.
Oh, 15?
Yeah.
Hey, the more the merrier. Do 20. Like if you go on and like you heart them or you leave a comment like, hey, this is great. Or, hey, that looks so good. Like people's food or something. Do that for 15 people and it shows Instagram that like, hey, this person interacts. Like, let's see how their stuff does. And supposedly that boosts up your exposure, which is really cool because they want to reward contributing accounts.
So she said, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you already said this, no worries. I apologize actually. But she said to interact with 15 people and then make a post.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before you make your post, you want to show Instagram that you're you contribute to their platform.
Yes.
More or less.
Yeah. And then apparently Instagram will reward you with the current algorithm.
I need to get better at that. Yeah. I'm going to try it out on my next reel for sure. Yeah. I need to make sure that the reel is engaging. I need to make sure that it's relevant to my audience. That's something that I do a lot of mentorship for people that join our brokerage who need it. And one thing that I try to tell them early on is identifying your audience.
Yeah.
You know, we talk all the time about if you close your eyes and you identify your ideal avatar that you're trying to attract into your business, what does their income look like? What are their concerns? What are they hoping that your solution is to their problems? What problems do you think they have that they want to hear solutions for? And make videos directed at them, because general real estate posts is super vague and it doesn't really attach to anybody. But if someone can watch your video and go, oh, he's talking to me, that's really important. And like one of the mentees that I have right now, he's a retired vet, and he like his passion is helping vets relocate, because he went through it himself when he was in the military, and he went over, like, he was just recalling how crappy that situation was.
Is
and
that
how
Chase?
No, different guy. But I thought it was really cool because we identified his niche.
Yeah.
You are a military relocation specialist.
Yeah.
And so now he's super motivated because he got to identify who he's passionate about helping, and B, now he has a clear path. What are these people's problems and how do I fix it? Yeah. And that's great content.
I love that. Yeah. And guys, you know, there's so much more. I think the average agent just like takes a picture of a house and says, wow, this house is $320,000. Check it out. Right. And that's just it's so vague and so surface level. But a valuable post is a post that saves people money, saves people time, helps people have fun, like an event, or
Well,
or entertains people, right? Like people love entertainment. And so those are valuable posts that keep people on the platform, as well as may intrigue them to eventually want to work with you.
And there's more to it than just views. I mean, views, like, I'd rather have five quality views of people that like are like have a thought-provoking response from my content than get 100 views of people that were just like, that's funny, and like pass along. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why, again, knowing your audience, what are the problems they have? What are the solutions you're providing? Because another thing is, so many agents, myself included, I'm calling myself out here, we sometimes take the lazy way out. Doing like a home walkthrough tour or like a clip of a house with you know, call me today for buying or something. Like, it's the lazy, easy way. If that's all you've got, do it.
Well, here's the thing.
Better than
Something
nothing.
is better than nothing. And if that's where you're starting, start there.
Yes.
Right. We're talking about like a couple years in, or, you know, the next level, where if you have time to put in the effort, do it.
Because even that post still lets people know that you're probably within the real estate industry.
Exactly.
So it's not like it's a waste. It's just, it's very general. It's very broad, and it's the easiest to replicate, which is why we follow so many realtors on Instagram. And I feel like my feed is just flooded with the same stuff. Yeah. And so when someone does something different, even me as a realtor, I go, oh, that was interesting. Yeah, man, that's something I didn't know before. Like, I can look at beautiful kitchens, like 6-second clips of beautiful kitchens with why you should buy today 100 times and not feel anything. But the moment someone's like, this is what I did, like, let me tell you how I saved my client $100,000. Yeah. What a great clip that is. Like, I'll watch that and I'll get excited about that so much more than just seeing that random clip of a random house that I don't know where it's at and it doesn't connect with me.
Guys, if you want to make a post that gets a lot of engagement, share a story, because stories sell and facts tell, right? If you just tell a fact, it's just going to tell somebody something. But if you share a story, it's actually going to get a lot of engagement. And that's one thing that I do a lot, is share.
You do that so well.
I share stories almost every single day on Facebook and Instagram. And I get a ton of engagement because people want to get drawn into, like, oh man, I wish I was in that position, or that's really awesome, right? Like, or man, I've got a cousin that's a veteran and I'd love for him to help my cousin, right? And so
you shared that with me a long time ago. You were like, I remember, like, I was getting a little bit discouraged with engagement and with connection on a real estate level. And you told me you should make a post about like how, like, going from being in the band to real estate, like, talk about that journey and that come up. And I was like, oh, I don't know if anyone's going to care about that. Yeah. Made the post, popped off. Yeah. It was great. Yeah. Most recently, one of the more recent posts that I've had do really well was talking about my experience touring a property that felt like I was in a horror movie. And I explained why that was and like the creepy aspects of it. And that sucks people in and they get drawn to it. It gets so much more engagement than almost any other style of posting where I'm just like, hey, I have an open house this weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, this 83-year-old lady was telling me how she discovered that her dead brother was in this cabin over here, and then the hogs. She wanted to show me this area, but she couldn't because there were feral hogs, and they would eat me up, and there'd be no trace I was there. That's an engaging story, and it's still real estate related. Yeah, but it got so much.
That one got a lot of momentum. I mean, I saw that one got a ton of engagement. I loved it. That was a really good story you shared. By the way.
So telling good stories, you're like I said, you're so good at that. You always have been, and people connect with that. People want that connection. There's so much BS out there. There's so much filler voices and content that when you get something that's really unique, and it feels special, and people want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I try to share one story every single day, and then I'll usually include a picture, right? And so, not every single time, but a lot of times I'll share a picture that has to do with the story. Like that would have been cool if you took a picture with the old lady like looking the other way, you know, and then there's like hogs in the background,
and I'm like,
yeah, something like that. But yeah. And then, you know, maybe at the end of the story saying, what's your opinion? Right. And that's what I do a lot to get engagement, because if you wrote it down earlier in the episode, engagement gets you more followers, more interactions, and it sends out your content to more people.
Yeah. I need to ask, I have a closing tomorrow, and I need to ask them. They said that they found me on social media.
Interesting.
And I want to see what social media they found me on, and I'll report back, because I'm like, okay, something worked, because they're millennial, first time home buyers, and I'm starting to push that advertising a little, that message very loud and clear out. And I got not an immediate payoff. I don't know how long they've been following me or anything, but that was encouraging to me, because I was like, okay, the more clear that I am on who my audience is, and I make consistent messaging to those people, it can't work.
Yeah. Yesterday I got a call from this lady from Florida, and I'm going to do it.
Oh, please do. Please do.
She goes,
yeah, my son-in-law told me that you were a good realtor, and he's following you on Facebook, and I got a house out here in Florida, and I don't need to sell it, but I'm looking to buy a house in your area.
straight from Seinfeld.
Why does she sound like a female Trump?
No,
your accent is a little bit. I could just see with the hand movements. Well, I don't need to sell it, but I'm gonna sell it.
And well, I got cash, and I'm looking to buy a house. And
dude, this lady's awesome. By the way, she wants to live closer to her family and in a certain area. But it was just so cool that this is complete. I'm just joking around. She's actually an amazing person. She is. But what I was going to say is basically, that came from a Facebook post that I made. No, actually, that came from a Facebook testimonial that I asked someone to make, right? And so, oh man, I shouldn't be giving all my secrets. Oh,
spilling the beans, man.
Oh, dang it. It's okay. But testimonials get you clients, right?
They do.
I'll just say, and asking for testimonials is an extremely important thing to do.
Just a quick side tip.
I'm not going to go any deeper than that.
I'm going to give them one little tidbit. If you have nowhere to collect reviews, you can make a free Google My Business page, and you can collect your reviews there. It does require verification for you to reply and to make changes, meaning that you have to own or have access to the place that you're going to claim as your business. So just a heads up.
Yeah. And if you want more info on that, we've got it elsewhere. Yeah. Okay. So, what else was I going to say? Difference between reels and stories. What is the difference between reels and stories?
I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like stories are only exposed to your audience. It's your existing followers. Reels are what you create that get pushed out to people beyond your immediate reach.
Spot on.
Yeah. So and plus, like, stories are, they disappear within 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Reels are evergreen. So they continue. Like, I still occasionally I'll get a like on something that's from like 2 years ago. I'm like, I forgot about this video. Why is this still popping up? but it's relevant to someone. It pops up in their search, their custom feed. If you're on Instagram, one of the buttons is to like discover what's trending, what Instagram has curated for you that they think you're interested in.
Yeah.
So like if they're looking at other realtors' content, they may discover mine by association.
I agree. You're spot on. I don't have to say anything about that. You're right.
Let's go. I usually am.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
So 2 applications that we use for Reels and Stories is Canva, right? We talked about that earlier. Canva's so awesome.
It is.
It has tons of templates that you can use. You can literally just add pictures and change the text, and it makes it look amazing. Go within the templates, literally type in Instagram Stories, right? And it'll have a million different templates for.
You can even say like real estate Instagram stories,
Yes.
and it'll niche down to your your industry.
And one thing I will say, guys, and this is the next level, right? Is make sure the colors are within your brand, right? So you can have what I've done.
Which, if you pay for the pro version, you can put a brand together, and if you hit brand, like there's an icon that says brand, and you hit it, it'll colorize everything to be your brand colors.
That's so sick. That is a next level tip, right?
And
there.
you
We're giving y'all too much. Y'all better be liking and commenting on this, and y'all better be sharing this.
And you better be closing deals.
Yeah, we should charge for this episode. Golly.
One thing I just recently started doing this is I noticed that a lot of, as far as like branding goes, my most recent Instagram reel, I branded as you can see here to match the colors. Like you can make basically a cover for the reel.
Yes.
So that when people visit your channel, instead of them seeing like something that's like mid video where you're like talking and
it's almost like a thumbnail.
Correct. It's basically a thumbnail for your Instagram reel.
Yeah.
I'm testing that out to see if it gets more engagement. I just recently started doing it, but at least from a branding perspective, it looks a lot better.
That's amazing because people, especially from a reel, because like we said earlier, reels are for people that are for your audience and not for your that are not in your followers already, right? And so if they go to your account and you've got a thumbnail that says 3 ways to save money when buying a new build, then they're probably going to click on that because it's a thumbnail that says that, right? Now it is extra work, right? Like some of these Instagram and social media strategies that we're telling, that's extra work. It
is extra work
for sure. It's a full-time job sometimes, but it's worth it because you're setting up your account for success.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, think about it. If you can convince just one person from your branding to go with you over someone else, that's a check.
100%. Yeah. So first one, Canva. And the second one starts with a C as well. And this is for Reels, or, I even use it for YouTube videos as well, but CapCut. CapCut is extremely useful, very cheap. I think it's like $7 or $8 a month.
It's not bad.
I know. And I use it. There's even templates in there as well. I'm going to give a shameless plug, but I am putting out a CapCut course that will be helping agents as well. And if you're within our organization at our brokerage, you get it for free, but I'm going to be selling that as well.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really good stuff in the works. I know we've been talking about it for a little bit, but it's going to be so massive once it rolls out that it's like a huge value add. You'll be able to purchase courses kind of either a la carte or as bundles. Again, or if you partner with us, we give that to all of our agents for free for being our partners.
Yeah, 100%. I apologize. My 4-year-old is outside of the studio.
Going ham.
Okay, so let's talk about maximizing stories. Now, we talk about stories and what they can do, but actually being tactical, right? On stories, there's several things that you can add within stories that create engagement. One of those, I'll just talk about one.
Sure.
You can add a link, right? And so as a real estate agent, maybe you go on Canva, you create a story graphic that is a picture of one of your listings. And then you go to the URL link you can even go on Zillow, get that URL, share it as a link on your story. And now when you share that story, people will click on the link. They'll go to your listing, or it can be a funnel for buyers. It can be a funnel for sellers. That's one way that you can maximize your story.
I'm a big fan of doing either quizzes or polls.
Polls are great too. Yeah.
So one of the most popular content pieces I put out that I get hella engagement in is I'll put out like if I'm doing a property tour or if I'm doing a new build visit or something, I'll take a picture of the house and I'll put the specs up. This is a 4-bed, 3-bath house, 2,800 square feet, and it's in Pflugerville. What do you think the asking price is? And I'll put 4, one of them is obviously the asking price and then the other 3. And it's interesting because it does a couple of things. One, it gets people going, and then like people will even double respond and they'll get it wrong and they'll be like, dang it, I thought I had that one. And I'm like it's cool because it creates more of a interactive, and then you get a chance to respond to their inquiry. Or if they get it wrong and it's a lower price and it's like, man, I wish this home was at this price, right? Like you get to open up a little bit more of a conversation from that.
I like that a lot. Yeah. So stickers, and that's within the sticker area. So you click on stickers, and there's polls, there's quizzes. Also, like if you have a new post that you made, we go way more into detail with the course that we're putting out soon. But the new post, like you share a new post to your stories, and then you can click on a sticker that says new post, and maybe cover up the post so that people have to click on it in order to go to the post, and that causes what?
Engagement.
And so if you've got nothing from this episode, engagement is the word that you got to focus on.
Absolutely.
Okay, so one more thing, and I actually have to go, so we're going to wrap this up.
All
but
right, big money.
How do you ask for testimonials?
So this is actually a very timely question. I was just telling you, I'm tweaking some things within how I approach, because I think what happens, and this is this is another thing that we took from that lender who was at that Google My Business training. She mentioned and I hadn't even thought of it this way before, but I always waited until after the closing, like the day after closing.
Yeah.
That's such a busy time for those people. You know what I mean? Like they're probably packing up, they're getting ready to move, they're having to get the house in order. Yeah. So like the last thing I want to do is pile on something else onto their plate. So now what I'm trying out, and again, I'm trying it literally just now on this closing I have tomorrow. I messaged them yesterday and I said, hey guys, I usually wait to ask for this, but if you wouldn't mind, here's my review site, and I'd love some honest feedback about your experience working with me. I'm asking you now because I know that the next 30 days are going to be really hectic for you. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. They haven't filled it out yet, but we have it up until tomorrow, and I'll probably remind them tomorrow at the closing table. Just like, hey, again, it was such a pleasure to work with you guys. Thank you for your trust. When you have a second, I would love some honest feedback about your experience with me. Yeah. And that'll remind them to make a review for me.
Yeah. So that's one thing, we can all do it differently. I like doing it as soon as that funded email gets sent to me. I send a screenshot and say it's official. Right. And then I also, like I said, I was told you earlier, I put a little bit of guilt on them. I say, hey, if you had a good experience, please feel free to write a positive review for me. And I sort of like guide them to
please write a 5-star review for me.
Yes. Right. And I say, this helps me. And I give a reason why, right? There's a book that I read that says if you give reasons why you're asking for something, there's a higher probability of you getting that thing, right? And so I'll say, hey, if you mind putting a positive review for me, because if you do this, then it helps me get more clients, and then helps put food on my table or helps pay for my baby's diapers, right?
So good.
And I make a joke about it, right? But it sort of puts it on them like, oh, dang.
Do you want to take food off my kid's table? How dare you?
Yeah, I mean, but it works, and I'm somewhat joking, right? But it's worked. So far, I'm waiting on one more testimonial for this month. Got 2 out of 3 so far.
And I know we already hashed on this, but testimonials are such good content. They tell stories.
Yes.
You're using someone else's story about working with you to highlight your business.
And that's one of the laws of influence, is using other people's credibility in order to raise up yours. And so if we can use testimonials, which is other people's stories, which stories sell, if you can use other people's stories, then it will sell you more and put you on a different level.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Hopefully this episode was of value. If you got one thing, please, guys, I'm telling you, we don't really get paid for this now, right?
And if you want to keep food on our kids' tables
I know.
and new diapers, please write us a review.
Also, hey, one thing is
Give us a 5-star review.
if you've got any stories that you'd like to share with us, and maybe we can share those stories to our audience. We've got, thousands of listeners. We'd love to share those stories. But the only way we'll know that is if you share it to us on our Instagram account, which is
at Jordan Sells ATX and at Real Estate Virgins Podcast.
oh yeah, that one too, and at John Michael Perez on Instagram. Guys, love you. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you on the next one.
Go crush it. We'll see you in the next one, guys.